only mode.
available free of cost, and if we don't make use of such technologies, the students will definitely overtake us. Students know a lot of other things which we are not aware of. If we are not up to date with whatever technology is available, then we may go out of demand soon. So that is why we are making use of the modern technologies and tools and techniques. So this will also result in improvement in classroom teaching. The students will be able to learn better. That is what we have come to a conclusion. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you the stats which was present before the innovative technology-based learning was introduced. And then we'll have a comparison with the traditional method of teaching. So the results show that we have had an improvement in classroom teaching, and the students are able to grab the things better and perform better. That is because students will be able to relate to technology better than to traditional classroom teaching, where they don't prefer us teaching by means of chalk and talk. That is the best way to do it, but now, because of the increase in the technology, a lot of new things are coming up. Next thing that we are going to discuss is about e-learning. So this is just the prerequisites to whatever we have used, whatever technologies we have used. I'm just going to run through all those things. E-learning is another trending thing right now. E-learning is electronic learning. You make use of any electronic medium to teach things, thereby the students able to learn better. So we have to play the role of facilitators. We should not be teachers who go on teaching things which the students do not understand. We should be able to relate to students better, and making use of e-learning tools and techniques will be a better solution for that. That is what we have found out in our college, and we have been very successful at that. The next aspect of our presentation is cloud computing. Nowadays, everything is available over the cloud. People extensively make use of cloud for doing all their work and all their storing data and all those things. So whenever such features or whenever for such functionalities or options are available, it is always better to make use of it, so that we can do a lot of work very effectively. Then we come to the main gist of the entire thing, which is Google Suite for Education. I'm sure most of the attendees in this webinar might have gone through this Google Suite for Education, and most of the colleges will also have experience of using Google Suite for Education. This comes with a lot of tools, which include tools which come under Google Apps, Docs, Slides, Google Sheets, and Google Drive, and all those things. So all these become a part of Google Suite for Education, and this has been widely used in our college. We have been fortunate enough where our management supports all these cutting edge technologies, thereby allowing us to make use of all these technologies in our day-to-day teaching. We have gone for Google Suite for Education, and we have been using this from past 4 years or so. So we are well versed with all the tools and the Google Suite for Education, and it is free. People need not worry about payment for Google Suite for Education. Since this is for education purposes, Google has made it completely free, and get unlimited space. We need not worry about the restriction in the storage also. We have unlimited storage. Unlike if you are using Gmail, you will be getting only 15 GB of storage space for yourself. Whereas if you use for Google Suite for Education, there is no limit on the amount of storage that you get to store your data. So all those concerns are being taken care of. It is free and it is having unlimited storage, unlike the personal Gmail stuff. Then we come to Google Classroom, which is another tool which comes under Google Suite for Education. This is the basis for our study. We have used Google Classroom in submission of assessments, and we will go through it soon. So Google Classroom is one tool which is helpful, which is an e-learning tool. Again, this is an e-learning tool which makes use of cloud computing and comes under Google Suite for Education. Nowadays, most of the people are making use of Google Classroom, and it is a widespread medium of teaching. Then we'll have a comparison between the manual mode of teaching and online mode, and what are the advantages of online mode over manual mode. Manual mode by itself will have a lot of advantages. We cannot compare manual mode and online mode, but still study has been done in order to realize how online mode is better when it comes to submission of assessments and learning. Once the introduction is covered, we will go into the methodology part of it, where the participants in this study were 31 students from third semester Master of Computer Applications from our own college. The study was done by myself and my colleague, Mr. Ragesh Raju. It was a collaborative effort, and we put in some tools and techniques in order to realize that Google Classroom serves better as opposed to the traditional way of submitting assessments. We'll see about it soon. So the participants were the students of our own college, and we conducted a small study by having these as the participants. Study design. In this phase, we had a couple of things to do for the students. One subject was being taught by myself, and I asked the students to submit assignments manually. They have to write the assignments, and they had to submit the assignments, whereas my colleague, who was leveraging Google Classroom already, he asked the students to submit the assignments online. Assignments are one integral part of assessments. Assessments include internal tests, seminars, quizzes, and assignments, and all kind of things that we do to assess the learning of students. Assignment is one such tool which we always generally follow. I asked the students to submit assignments manually, whereas my colleague asked the students to submit the assignments online using Google Classroom. He added students to Google Classroom, gave some assignment to the students, and asked them to submit online, whereas I went for the traditional approach where I asked the students to submit the assignments, and based on that, I graded them. Data analysis. As we go along, we will go through all the details of what analysis we have done on the data collected through the submission of online mode as well as manual mode. Then we will have a comparison of a traditional approach and innovative technology based approach. Traditional approach in this case was followed by me, whereas innovative technology based approach was followed by my colleague, who went for Google Classroom for the submission of assignments. Now I'm going to present some graphics in front of you, which will show you what happened when we asked the students, same set of students, to submit assignments manually as well as using technology. Okay, this is the representation of data collected through manual submission of assignments. This subject was being taught by me, principles of user interface design. As you can see, there were 31 students. We could not show the results of all 31 students. We have shown the submissions of 18 students who took part in the study. This experiment was conducted in the year 2016. In the odd semester of 2016, we had two subjects for third semester MCA, Principles of User Interface Design and Computer Networks. And this study was done back then. We were waiting for a right opportunity to present our work, and we found out that ICTIEE 2018 was the right opportunity, and we prepared the paper and submitted it and presented it over there. So this was the assignments submitted to me. Principles of User Interface Design was the course which was being taught by me. The deadline for submission was September 30th, but the intrinsic problem with the manual submissions is that students generally don't submit it on time. We all have faced this problem. When we give a deadline for the students to submit it, they either submit it right on the brink of submission or right on the brink of deadline, or they submit it little late, 1 or 2 days after the deadline is over. So that is where the penalty for submitting on time, penalty for not submitting on time is shown. That column says that these students did not submit the assignments on time. They either submitted it slightly late or they submitted it after a long time. That is why there was a reduction in their marks. The total score obtained by the first student was 9, and since he did not submit it on time, there was a penalty of 3 marks, and finally he scored 6 marks. Similarly, for other students also, we have shown some of the students did submit it on time, but as you can see, from 18 students, nearly 60 to 65% of the students did not submit it on time. So thereby they had a penalty and they had a reduction in marks. The problem with this mode of submission is that it becomes a burden on the teacher to find out when the students have submitted, and based on the submissions, we have to reduce the marks appropriately. Another problem with the manual submissions is that the problem with handwriting. We most of the times will not be able to read what the students have submitted, because people usually have a shabby handwriting. For the just for the sake of submitting the assignments, they will just write something and they will submit it. It becomes an additional burden for the teacher to go through all these things and grade them accordingly. Another problem is that they just submit it and they take it back. They will say that, sir, we need the assignment for our reference. Can we take it back? So we cannot keep it with us all the time. We have to give it back to students, because the students also have done some work and they are supposed to refer it. Another problem with this is copying. People usually ask, or one or two people usually do the work, and rest of the people take it from them, uh, do some shabby work, complete the assessment, complete the assignment, and submit it. This is just done for the sake of submitting assignments. Now we will see the results of online mode of submission, where Google Classroom was used. Now this is the subject I was talking about, computer networks. Here it clearly shows the total number of students who took part in the study was 31. Even though we could not show the results of the entire set of 31 students, we have shown a list of 15 students who had submitted assignments through Google Classroom. First assignment was submitted, or the deadline for the first assignment was September 30. To find out how effectively it works, Mr. Ragesh Raju asked the students to submit the assignments twice. He gave two separate assignments. One submission was on September 30th, and the second assignment which he gave, the deadline for the submission was October 31st. So let us analyze what happened for the submission which happened on September 30th. Similar to the manual mode of submissions, people thought that they will be able to get away with late submissions. They submitted late, and Google Classroom, the technology, can enforce some constraints on the submissions, wherein my colleague had that option where if they submit late, the assignments will not be accepted at all. So in case of manual submissions, I had some penalty. We reduced some marks, but in this case, the students completely lost out on marks due to late submission. As you can see, all those zeros scored are because of late submission. The software did not allow them to submit the assignment at all, because they were trying to submit it after the deadline was over. As in the case of manual submission, some of the people did submit it on time, but most of the people thought that they'll be able to get away with the late submission. They will have a penalty of 1 or 2 marks and they will still get some grades. But that was not true in case of Google Classroom, where the software did not allow them to submit it. It blocked the submissions beyond the deadline, and thereby they lost out completely. And the class average, if you can see, the assignments was graded out of 10, but the class average for the first assignment, assignment 1, under that column is 3.7. Out of 10, the students could muster up only 3.7 percentage of marks. So, okay. So another thing which we can observe here is students who did not attend the assignment itself was 14. As you can see, the students not attended is 14, which says that 14 students were not able to submit the assignment because they were trying to submit it late. Either they did not submit it at all, or they tried to submit it late. That's why it says students not attend webinar, not attended the assignment is 14. So to check what is the impact on that, he gave one more assignment, which had the deadline as October 31st. So because of their earlier experience with the assignment 1, most of the students did a prompt work and they submitted assignments on time. As a result, students not attended the assignment came down from 14 to 1. In the first case, out of 31, 14 students in the first case, out of 31, 14 students had not submitted the assignments, whereas in the second case, in the case of assignment 2, they knew that they will not be able to submit the assignments if they submit late. That is why most of the people did a good job. Out of 31, 30 people submitted, only one person did not submit it. So we cannot avoid such situation. There will be a few students who do not want to submit assignments. We cannot do anything with them. Cannot do anything with them. But as you can see, the class average in the second assignment went up from 3.7 to 7.27. So that is what my colleague was trying to find out, how it is going to impact the submissions when it is given for the second time. The first time the students did not know what has to be done, so they needed some kind of training, they needed some kind of familiarity with the Google Classroom, and thereby the class average ended up being 3.7 when they submitted the assignment uh, first. Then the second time, the class average came up from 3.7, it shot up to 7.27, and that I think was a satisfactory result. And thereby we concluded that the submission through Google Classroom indeed works. Now, here are the results of manual submission. As we had seen in the previous slide, the previous graphics also showed that most of the people did not submit it on time. So the lines with the blue indicate the students who have submitted within the deadline, whereas the red lines indicate the students who have submitted beyond the deadline. So most of the lines are red lines. That means the students did go beyond the deadline to submit the assignment, and this had to be done by me manually because I did not have the luxury of using Google software, Google Classroom, in order to make the analysis. This analysis had to be done by me when where I had stored all the data in Excel, and through Excel I made use of all these graphs. Then this is the manual submission scores. Again, the scores were very low because people did not submit it on time, and because of that, they lost out on a lot of grades, and a lot of penalties were imposed, and they could not score well. So that is the result of manual submission. And please do remember that all these analysis had to be done by me manually. I did not have the assistance of any software. So these are the results of manual submission. Whereas when we came to the online submission, which the submissions through Google Classroom, my colleague had all the options. He had a lot of analysis tools available in the Google's Classroom itself. Google Classroom itself provides us a wide variety of uh, graphs and charts and all those things. We can vary the input and we can get varying output based on whatever we want. So Google Classroom provides you the freedom to experiment with things and still do a lot of analysis. Whereas in the case of manual submission, I had to do it personally. So this is the result of assignment one. There were a lot of people who did not submit it on time. The blue dots on top of the line 0 indicate that a lot of people did not submit the assignments when the assignment was first given via Google Classroom. When it came to the second assignment, there was a drastic improvement, and as you can see, there is only one red dot on the 0 line, whereas all other assignments were submitted well within time and they were graded. In the case of first assignment, there were a lot of people who submitted late, and they learned a lesson when it came to second assignment, and thereby they submitted it on time, and a vast improvement was seen in the way the students submit the assignments. Now let us come to the impact of results. We will compare the assignment 1 and assignment 2, which were submitted using Google Classroom. If you can see, the blue dots indicate the assignment 1 and the red dots indicate assignment 2. There is only one red dot in 0 line, whereas in the case of first assignment, there were a lot of blue dots, which showed that a lot of people did not submit the assignment on time. So this is the impact of results. Assignment 2 showed a drastic improvement from assignment 1, whereas people needed to know how actually Google Classroom works. Once they came to know how the online tool works, they were very skeptical about submissions, and they did submit it on time, and thereby they got good grades. Now, before we conclude, what I would like to say is we had a discussion in our department uh, considering both the manual mode and online mode. While it was agreed that online mode was suitable for all these kind of activities, it was also suggested that a lot of training is required so that the people are aware of how to make use of all these modern tools. As in the case of assignment one, people did not know how it is going to work, so they took the liberty of not submitting it. Whereas when it came to assignment two, they knew how the Google Classroom is going to work and how they cannot cheat the teacher and all those things. So they became conscious and they did submit it on time. Now there were questions on how you can avoid malpractice when they submit the assessments online. There is always a chance that in the case of manual submissions also, I said that people can copy from others and submit it. In this case also, there are high chances that one or two people may do the actual work. Other people might just copy it from them and submit it. That was a major concern, but we overcame that concern when we had plagiarism check done on all the assignments that they submitted. And through the plagiarism check, we found out that students had done some actual work. They did not actually copy. If they had copied, we would have come to know with the help of plagiarism check that they had done a copied work. So all these things can be avoided by making use of plagiarism check tools. All these options are also available, which is again a result of technology. Again, another thing that we observed, copy paste from net also could be checked. When the submissions are done through Google Classroom, there is an option for checking the revision history in Google Docs, which shows the time-to-time update on the file. So they cannot just copy it from any other source and paste it there. That also can be tracked with the help of revision history. One tool that you have is plagiarism check. Another tool that you can make use of is go to the revision history tool, which is provided in Google Docs, and find out whether they have indeed copied or they have done some actual work. So all these obstacles could be easily overcome when it came to technology-based submissions. So to conclude, we can say that e-learning tool usage has got a lot of benefits. One of the benefits is that ease of e-learning tool usage. Uh, e-learning tools are very familiar these days, and people are extensively going for it. So it is very easy to use. People need not be trained extensively in order to make use of it. They will be most of the people these days will be knowing how to make use of e-learning tools and how to make use of tools over the internet. And so we need not teach them in order to make them use of it in a better way. So it is actually very easy to make use of such tools. Then migration from traditional ways to sophisticated e-learning tools is also very easy. We need not train the students or the teachers on how it has to be done. Once or twice, if they are able to do, they will be able to become familiar with how the entire interface works. Once they are familiar, then they can always experiment with a lot of things and start working on it. Another thing with the migrating from traditional ways to sophisticated e-learning ways is that assignments and all the other works can be done on the go. People will be able to submit assignments, as in the case of students, and the teachers who have to take care of all these things can also do it from their comfort zone. They need not do it from their workplace itself. Wherever they are, they can make use of the Google Classroom mobile app, and they can make use of all these facilities from wherever they are. And again, it is very user friendly. All the options are provided there itself, and they can make use of all these facilities. And another thing that came out of this study is that there was a lot of improvement in overall quality of learning. Now we have done the study in the year 2016. Now we have come a long way, where we have done a lot of other experiments as well, and we have found out that the learning happens better when technology is involved. We have also come up with the concept of having reward points for the work done by students, which attracts a lot of attention by the students, and at least for the sake of reward points, they do a better job, where we reward the students, and these things will go on these things will go on adding to their grades. And actually we have made use of gamification concept where all these things come into picture. It is like a game where you go on giving grade points to students, thereby attracting their attention and allowing them to do better. That's about it. Thank you. If you have any more queries or any queries, you can write to me on the above email address, and you can also call me on the number displayed on the screen. Thank you.
We do have several questions. I am reading it one by one.
Yes, sir.
The first one is how difference came in the student in assignment submission.
I'm sorry, sir.
How the difference came in the students in assignment submission.
You mean to say what differences were seen in the submission of students?
Exactly.
Attitude of students. Okay. So as I said, when it was done online in assignment 2, a lot of positive attitude was shown by students, wherein they came to know that they will not be able to cheat the teacher by submitting it late and will be able to get away with it. So by looking at assignment 1, they understood that if they submit it late, their marks will be reduced drastically, and they may not get any marks at all, which was happening with the manual submissions, where even if they submit late, the marks were being deducted. Let us say that in my case, I had reduced 3 marks, but still they were able to get some marks. In the case of Google Classroom, we completely blocked the submissions after the deadline. Thereby, the students were not able to submit the assignments at all. So they became aware of all these things. They became conscious and they started submitting it on time. And that was the impact of assignment 2 on students. Assignment 1, we can say, was a experiment, whereas assignment 2 was the actual result of whatever had happened during assignment 1. uh, yeah, that's about it.
Question is what type of assignment you have given to student? Is it some objective based assignment or theoretical?
It was the assignment which we are talking about here was not an objective type assignment. It was a descriptive type assignment. But later on, we have incorporated objective type tests as well through Google Classroom. All those options are also provided. But this particular study was done for a descriptive type assignment, where they had to write something descriptively and submit it.
Is it possible for you to differentiate Google Classroom and Moodle?
Moodle is another e-learning tool which will allow us to conduct objective type tests, whereas Google Classroom not only allows us to conduct tests, it will also allow us to make use of the flipped model of classrooms. And we can also go for blended classroom modes, where we can post something online and ask the students to work on it, and can have a discussion in the class the next day. Let us say that today I posted something on Google Classroom. The students have to go home, start working on it as a homework. We cannot call it as homework. We can ask them to work on it and come back and have a discussion the next day. Whereas Moodle will provide you options to conduct objective type tests. Even those options we are using in the college, but Google Classroom encapsulates the features of Moodle. And in the case of Google Classroom, what happens is all have a Gmail account. We have given a Gmail account of college email IDs to all the students. Students will log in through those accounts and make use of it. Whereas in Moodle, we have to create separate login for each students and have to ask them to log in and take the tests.
Next question is it possible to filter penalty points for late submission online if second date for submission is allowed?
Yes, that is also possible. We did not leverage that option here because we wanted to give a clear signal to students that they will not be able to submit it late. But we can channelize it. We can tune it to our own needs. We can also have a reduction of 1 marks or 2 marks or whatever it is based on our requirement. Or we can complete the submission or stop the submission altogether. Both the options are available.
In general, since students absorb new technologies, very quickly, did you have any instance of asking some student to be a partner or author for such study?
Yes, sir. That situation also has occurred. Nowadays, students are very familiar with all the technologies. If we make students a partner in this, along with the teacher, we can have one more teacher added to the same course. We can make a student added to the same course. Thereby, we can promote co-teaching. We can also add a student as a co-teacher. Thereby, enabling peer learning. It so happens that when a student himself is getting involved in teaching, the other people usually get more interested and the learning happens in a better way. So that option we have leveraged.
Plagiarism tool available in Google Classroom? And if it
I'm
is
sorry, sir.
available, uh, is any plagiarism tool available in Google Classroom? If yes, how
uh,
far it is reliable?
no, sir. Right now there are no plagiarism check tools available in the within the Google Classroom. We have to make use of plagiarism check tools elsewhere in order to check the novelty of the assignment submitted by students. Right now, Google has not provided the option for plagiarism check within their Google Suite for Education. It is kept separate away from Google Suite of Education.
Is video recording facility available in Google Classroom?
You're talking about video?
Video recording, like it is available in flipped class tool, screenocast.
No, those options are currently not available, but we can share videos and we can ask them to go through it. But video recording options are not currently provided by Google Classroom.
Time. We are having one more. Can you suggest any plagiarism software for checking assignment?
Sorry, sir, your voice is breaking.
Can you suggest any plagiarism software for checking assignment online?
Online, there are a few plagiarism check tools available, but they cannot be trusted on. But we have our own tool, Turnitin, using which we can check the reliability of the assignment submitted online. Online tools are available, but we cannot trust them all the time. But we can make use of a licensed tool like Turnitin, which will catch most of the uh, copying things that the students do.
Is it possible to create student group in Google Classroom?
Yes, it is possible to create students group in Google Classroom. We can have a group of students and we can allocate assignments or project to those group of students, and we can separate it from other group of students. That option is provided. We can create groups.
We are not having any further question. Thank you, Professor Satyendra, for providing a valuable information. Any
Thank
final
you. Thank you.
comments?
Yeah, I would like to thank you and the entire IUCE team, yourself, Professor Sridhar Nori, Dr. Krishna Vedula, and all the team from IUCE. I would like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to conduct this webinar online. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All for joining. Here with I am ending this webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you.